Swoops, dancing for the win! Texas is back, folks!
Hey everyone, and welcome to CFB Guru's exclusive analysis of yesterday's game between Notre Dame and Texas. And me and Andrew were talking about, should we put this into week 2's analysis, or should we make it our own exclusive video for it? And there was just so much action packed into yesterday's game that we felt that we could make our own video just about this game, because man, what a game it was.
Yeah, I'd say this is one of the best games I've ever watched as a fan.
For sure. Best game since Michigan State, Michigan, in my opinion.
As a fan of college football.
Yeah.
Just a great all-around game.
For
I want to start off talking about Texas. I mean, oh my goodness. I thought Notre Dame was just going to blow them out. I thought it was going to be a lame game because I hadn't really paid attention to Texas. But, wow. The two quarterbacks played great.
Well,
what do you think?
I don't think this is any fluke either. I mean, I truly think that after seeing this game that Texas is back.
Yeah, for sure.
That, I mean, whatever Charlie Strong put together in the offseason truly is special, because when I watched this last night and I'm thinking Notre Dame's playing good, but Texas is playing better, and I don't understand how they're winning this, but they are. Notre Dame is playing good, and Texas, their tempo, I mean, at one point they had Tyrone Swoops in the game, and he's, busting through tackles, and then the next thing they put Bouchel in, and he's throwing long bombs, and I mean they just played great. And I truly think that, I'm sorry to all the Texas fans out there that in yesterday's video I said that the 4 contenders in the Big 12 were Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Baylor, and TCU. I officially put Texas as that 5th contender in the Big 12.
Yeah. In the tempo that I saw last night, I would definitely say I saw a little bit of that Oregon offense that I saw 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
With Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
And the way that Charlie Strong, the way he played both of those QBs, I mean, wow.
And that tempo is going to be really beneficial in a conference like the Big 12, where they're not known for their defense. So if they can keep that offensive tempo going, they can really rack up points on some of those Big 12 teams.
Yeah, because as we can see, the score was 50-47, so it's a high-scoring game.
And with that QB situation, I mean, I wouldn't try to, if I were Charlie Strong, I wouldn't even try to have a competition there. It proved that Bouchel is good for passing, and Tyrone Swoops is good for pounding and getting the QB sneak and those options, and that I think that's a great duo that they have in those two quarterbacks, and I think that they should continue to play both of them if they want to continue that success that they had last night.
Yeah, I would agree that Bouchel is their passing quarterback, because he went 16 for 26, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I mean, those are pretty good stats. Besides that interception, which, got Notre Dame back into the game, but...
Yeah, he played pretty much flawless, except for in that play and a few others.
And then Swoops is proven to be their running quarterback, because he only had
53 rushing yards, but if you watch, he had 3 touchdowns. If you watch, he had a huge impact on the game.
Yeah.
And if you didn't watch it, his stats made it seem like but if you did watch that game, you would know how much of an impact he had on that game.
If you would have watched the game, you would have thought that, that Charlie Strong should keep the 2 QB battle on.
And now if you look at Texas's schedule, they play UTEP next week, and that should be a easy game. Go 2-0. Then they play California on the 17th, which, California, without Jared Goff, I don't know if they can contend that game. Yeah. It's at California, but I see Texas winning that one too. But then at the start of October, when they start Big 12 play, that's when it gets really interesting. They visit Oklahoma State, and then they have Oklahoma at home. Now, do you see them winning either of those games?
I think that if Oklahoma is able to beat Ohio State, then I think Oklahoma will win that game.
You think they'll win?
I think Oklahoma will win if Oklahoma beats Ohio State.
So you're saying that you think that they'll continue that momentum that they built off of the Ohio State game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I'm saying if Oklahoma already loses 2 games, if they're 1-2 going into this Texas game, I mean, they were they were in the playoffs last year, and then people were saying they're in this year, and then they're already 1-2, basically out already. I think they'd be bummed out, and I think they'd lose. I
disagree with you only because this is a rivalry game. This is a huge rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, and no matter what's on the line, if you're Oklahoma, you want to beat Texas no matter if you're 0-4 or 4-0.
I understand that, but
I think that Oklahoma losing to Texas last year, I think that they'll be motivated enough, no matter how the outcome is in that Ohio State game, that they'll go in there and want to win that game against Texas.
So I'm saying,
but it is at Texas.
If Ohio State beats Oklahoma, I'm saying they're winning both of those games.
And I'm saying that it doesn't matter. It's a rivalry game, and it could go either way. That it should be a good game though. And then they also have Baylor and TCU in the bottom half of their schedule, which I think those two will be some good games too. Looking at it right now, I think that they'll be able to win at least one of those 4 games. And I mean, I think they have a potential of getting in a really good bowl game and maybe even winning the Big 12.
Yeah, agreed.
And now going over to Notre Dame, I mean, they're not out.
Yeah,
let's clear that out. They're not out of playoff contention. I mean,
if you look at the schedule, I mean, they do have Michigan State, Stanford,
USC,
Virginia Tech, USC. Virginia Tech won't.
I mean, they have a decent schedule to the point where if the playoff committee at the end of the season looking at an 11-1 Notre Dame team with that type of schedule, and if Stanford and Michigan State are still up there in the rankings too, I mean, they have a pretty strong strength of schedule. So Notre Dame fans, you are out. I mean, it's a bad start, but I mean,
if they beat Michigan State, which is ranked, if they beat Stanford, which is ranked, if they beat USC, which might not be ranked,
no, they won't be. I wouldn't be sweat the USC game, even though it's at USC.
But that's 2 ranked wins, so they still might be able to, but that's not a very good start.
And now at least they can say that they pretty much have their quarterback situation figured out. I think it seemed to me that yesterday Deshaun Kaiser proved that he was a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he went 15 for 24, 215 yards. 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
Yeah, he had a great game. Without Kaiser, I think it would have been a complete blowout.
So yeah, if they continue with Kaiser and they confirm that he's a starting quarterback and kind of continue playing with him, I think that they'll be fine. And hopefully, if you didn't see that the injury from Torrey Hunter Jr. yesterday, he got injured in the 4th quarter, I think. As long as he gets better too, he's probably one of their best targets, Notre Dame's best targets for receiving. So hopefully he gets better, and he's obviously one of their best assets. So he gets better. They continue to keep Kaiser as a starting quarterback, and I think Notre Dame will be fine. I think they'll be fine. Now I think. So you look at the plays of the game. What do you think was your play of the game?
I'm saying my play of the game, even though Notre Dame lost, was that blocked field goal, because without that wouldn't have gone into overtime. Wouldn't have been as close as a game as it was. It kept them in the game.
For sure.
Because if they wouldn't have blocked that put Texas up by 3. I'm saying Texas would have won in regulation. So that's my play of the game.
My play of the game is the play in second overtime. Tyrone swoops. It's a 3rd and 1, just inside the red zone, and he takes it. Oh my goodness, he breaks it seems like 4 or 5 tackles, and he gets it within the 10-yard line. It's 1st and goal after that, and the fans go nuts. And I think at that point, pretty much everyone knew that Texas was going to score, because the momentum that they had after that play was unprecedented, and that to me, after I saw that play, I'm like, dude, Texas is going to win this game.
Yeah.
What's one word to describe the game last night, do you think?
Mine is classic, because that was a classic game.
Sure.
I think that's going to be a game that will be remembered for a long time, not because of any certain play, because of the intensity, the tempo for both teams. I mean, so my word is classic. What's yours?
I would say hard fought. I think that both teams played. They both showed heart. They both fought until they couldn't fight anymore. like I said, I don't think Notre Dame played bad. I think it's just they played good, but Texas played great. And I think that's ultimately what got Texas the win.
I agree.
So I think both those teams had a hard-fought game, and Texas got the win.
Yep.
That'll do it for today's exclusive analysis of the Notre Dame versus Texas game. We'll see you next week for the Week 2 analysis of college football. See ya.